Yep, there you go.
All right. It's Jim back again in Jakarta, Indonesia, and talking with Zach Briggs from Delphi Mystics, new MVP, Embarcadero MVP, which is exciting. Congratulations, Zach.
Thank you.
And talk to you about how you got started with Delphi.
Okay, so this is going to be a little interesting, and I always feel like it's not, really epic or anything like that. But I kind of consider myself a Delphi legacy in some ways. So I got into Delphi because my brother was busy. He owned a company called Cyberlogic Systems. He had a partner, and actually some of the really old Delphi guys might remember them. But my brother is Christopher Briggs, and his partner was Corey Wood. And they were developing CRM products with Delphi for the auto industry. And I was really little. My brother is 13 years older than me.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so I was constantly trying to impress him. And he doesn't know it, but he actually made me a really good programmer by not being impressed. And so, anyway, it was kind of neat because he set me up with Delphi, and I would figure out, oh, I can do this with it. And I'd be like, hey, look at this. And he'll be like, oh, yeah, but can you do that? And so I'd be like, hey, look at this. Until one day I figured out that he had me doing things that he didn't know how to do and didn't think I could do, and then I would do them. And I'd be like, hey, look at this. And he'd be like, ow. He's going to kill me for this. But it was really neat because I grew up around Delphi coders.
Yeah.
And so naturally I kind of went into that. But the other thing is, I remember even from when I was a little kid, and I say little kid, like I was like 10 years old. I remember loading it up and being like, I can almost feel the power from this,
Yeah.
like the capability, because I could build all kinds of cool tools. It was like it's like it gave me the ability to shape my environment with my computer, and I found that phenomenal. That was just and it was the tip of the iceberg. Like I could feel that it was the tip of the iceberg. I describe it as when you're a little kid and you see Christmas lights. And they have that warm glow and possibility behind them.
Sure.
That is kind of how it felt. And so as time progressed, and I got all the way up to Delphi 7, and I once described Delphi 7 as feeling like there's electricity coming off my fingers, like I'm one with the computer.
Yeah.
And so really cool. And then I kind of had to pull away from Delphi for a little while. There was life experiences that took me other directions, and I was really kind of happy when it came back around. And the biggest thing I can say about that is you had mentioned earlier, we were talking about living code.
Right.
Okay. And the new Delphi I could describe easily as living code, because I can write it one time and I can target multiple platforms. And I've tried writing, I believe it was mono developed. I tried writing C# applications in Linux.
Yeah, sure.
And it was brutal. And I'm sure I could have gotten up that hill, but I'm like, why would I do that when I can just do this? And I can spend my time learning how to do it, or I can just do it. And so, because of the platform targeting, I have no doubt in my mind that if tomorrow we had a phone that was driven by this brand new XYZ platform, that Embarcadero would be there, and I would just flip a switch, and now I'm targeting that instead. And so I feel like anything I write in Delphi is sustainable, and I feel almost a business obligation from a cost standpoint to push Delphi and be like, hey, we need to be doing this in Delphi so that you can design it once. You don't have to get the Android copy done and then go back and do the iOS copy, and then next year when the new Windows phone comes out for the what would that be? The 8th phone that Microsoft's done?
If it gets market share this time, right?
Yeah, when the new Windows phone comes out, I flip a switch and hey, I'm in Windows.
Yeah.
I feel confident with it. I feel like if I show Delphi to my clients, even if they had a preconception, it'll usually crumble, and they'll be like, yes, this is what we want to do.
That backwards compatibility that Delphi has, I always feel like that's it's respecting our time as developers.
Yep.
Right. So respecting our investment.
Yep.
You know, that is, it boggles my mind when I talk to the developers and I'm like, oh, the new version of Swift is out. I got to go rewrite everything.
Yeah.
And I know they're kind of kidding a little bit, but part of it's really true too.
Ted. I do a lot of work with Ted.
Uh-huh.
And Ted told me a long time ago that he would never want to do a mobile app not in Delphi. And he was a native developer.
Right.
And the reason being is exactly that. There's the upgrade issues, and then there's the write it once, get to write it again. Then you get to maintain 2 separate code bases.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Fix all your bugs twice.
Yep, fix all your bugs twice, implement all your features twice. So yeah, that definitely made it a lot easier.
So what version of Delphi did you start in?
Okay, I think I had Delphi 1, but I wouldn't call it effective. I used to mess around with Turbo Pascal because I had my brother's university books.
Uh-huh.
But I think I started being effective really in Delphi 3.
Right.
And I remember my first book. It was Mastering Delphi 3, and it was by Marco Cantu.
Oh,
It was Cybex. It was thick. It was about yay big.
Yeah.
I had to have the cover laminated because me and my friends kept passing it around. We jokingly called it the Tome of Power.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, so Delphi 3, I think, was when I first started writing some utilities, actual, like, productive code, rather than a kid messing around. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Let's see. What is the? I mean, you already said this. I was going to say, what is the thing? Why do you keep choosing Delphi? I guess.
Oh, it's definitely that sustainability. Sustainability, because the platforms can evolve, and Delphi will continue to be there.
Yeah. And what's something recently you've done with Delphi that you're just like, oh my goodness, this is magic? That had that lightning from your fingerprint tips like back in Delphi 7.
I have consent to talk about that part.
Yeah.
So there were 2 really cool moments. I'm doing an IoT project for a client. Can't name the client for that piece.
Uh-huh.
And that was cool because you get to make devices do things in the real world.
Right.
So, all those interfaces we get to see on movies where they're tapping all the stuff on the tablet, the doors unlock and stuff like that.
Sure. Uh-huh.
I get to do real world things with those interfaces, with those 3-dimensional interfaces.
Uh-huh.
So that's really cool. But the one I really can talk about that I feel pretty proud of is I wrote an application for PACS, which is the Pan-African Christian Academy of Surgeons, that holds all their medical records for their surgeons as they travel around and they go do visits in Africa at these outer villages and communities, so that they can have better quality of care.
Yeah.
And the cool piece of that app was the ability to synchronize all of those records in just seconds.
Yeah.
The other cool thing is, because they can do that, if something happens and they all have to leave the facility, there is replica copies of all of that information, so it's not lost.
Cool. So yeah, that's like actually making the world a better place directly, improving quality of life for so many people.
Yeah, that's why I feel really, really good, because they can improve surgical outcomes and help people.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I guess you mentioned a little bit that you work for different clients doing consulting things. It's one of those things that so often people don't want to broadcast their secret weapons.
Yep. I had that problem with Parker, and I can mention Parker because I did talk to them about it in advance. There was a lot of discussion before I could admit that Parker's using Delphi for some things, partly because it is a secret weapon to them, and they felt confident in their market share that they could disclose that they are using Delphi because it saves a lot of time, a lot of overhead, and they can do 4 times as much with a quarter of the resources, the quarter of the personnel.
Yeah.
And that is a big thing for them.
So that 4 times as much with a quarter as many people, that's what?
Like an eighth.
That's an 16
maybe, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's ridiculous because they can do this, they can get to market faster.
Yeah.
They can adapt and evolve faster than their competition.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And now, I was just the other day, you're talking about how you were delivering to somebody a Windows, you're building a mobile app, but you're sharing the Windows app with them because it was easier for them to run it in their meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how did that? What happened with that?
So I was developing an application, and the client wanted to be able to take the application and show it off in their meetings, and figured out that they were doing this to help steer the development of the application. And so I said, oh, well, hang on, and I flipped it over to Windows, and I sent them the Windows binary.
Right.
And they could run it, and they could click, and they could look at that. And so they throw it up in one of these boardrooms with all the people sitting around, and they're like, hey, here's our mobile app that's coming out. And they're busy marking it up and sending all that feedback back to me. And they loved that they could do that. They could go to a client site, and they're not showing, their big automotive clients and stuff. They're not showing them this thing on a little tablet. They're able to bring it up on their computer. They're able to throw it up on the projector and be like, this is our mobile app. Hey, check it out. They're able to hand it to their support department.
Yeah.
And so when their support department gets a phone call and they're like, hey, I'm trying to do this. Oh, hang on, let me start up your mobile app real quick. Okay, click here, click here, click here. Good to go. And so it became so prevalent and it ran so fast that they started looking at, because they had a separate group doing the non-mobile app, the Windows desktop app.
Right.
They started looking at going, hey, can you just do the desktop app too?
It's like you're almost done.
Yeah, it was like, hey, how much? So it that added some serious value add to our organization working with their organization.
Yeah, fantastic. I love the fact that you can do that prototyping really quick on Windows for the mobile apps, right? And then of course you run it on the mobile device to make sure it works on the hardware and the form factor and stuff like that. But so much of it you can just turn around so quickly on Windows. So yeah, it's fantastic. I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Zach. And I guess both Zach and Dave were on the Delphi Mystics with me. So
yeah. Oh yeah, go Mystics.
Delphi Mystics.
I'm wearing team colors today.
Dave's got Rad Studio. That's okay. So check us out. Delphi Mystics will be doing some episodes on there as well, and in celebration of Delphi's 25th birthday.
Yeah.
Which I guess you got 52. That's 25 backwards, right? Is that why you're wearing that?
Yeah, we're going to start changing these shirts to match Delphi. You can customize your number when you order the shirt, but I think we're going to make some static shirts.
So they can order their shirts on DelphiMystics.com?
Yep, they can order shirts and mugs, and we're going to set up a really cool place where you can get a mouse pad of Jim McKeith being a nerd.
What? That never happens. Cool. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Yep,